Good evening, everyone. It's Friday. Gosh, it felt like such a long week. I'm sure it felt like that way for you as well. I actually just have one key update for tonight. I want to share with you, and you'll see this below, that yesterday afternoon, in response to what we saw unfold in Nashville, Tennessee, we sent out 7 public information requests to various leaders in our 4 major cities. And I want you to not only read what we submitted, but to just give you a little bit more background. We've now been in this crisis for 6 months, and I think you can't find anyone that would argue that restaurants have not gone above and beyond to take care of Texans during this crisis. And the very first example of that is when we were forced to close our dining rooms in the name of public health. Not only was that something that people supported, you all eagerly and quickly went into what I would call just sort of entrepreneurial mode, and you quickly pivoted your businesses. You were leaders in feeding citizens across the state at 51% of the food dollar. I think that'd be difficult to do without restaurants. And many of you operated unprofitably because the main source of your revenue was that dining room that you were unable to open. Whether it be first responders, healthcare workers, frontline employees, you really stepped up. And now we sit here 6 months later, and clearly very good news yesterday from Governor Abbott and allowing us to continue to expand on Monday. But there really is no end in sight. And what matters most, frankly, isn't really getting to 100%, it's regaining consumer trust. And so when we watched the news come out of Nashville, we felt that our responsibility is to protect and advance this industry. When the crisis started, we had 50,000 of you across the state. We've lost more than 15%. And we know without Congress taking action and without consumers returning, that number is only going to increase. And we can't afford that. And so our thought is we just really want to make sure that we understand that if restaurants are indeed factually and data-driven demonstrated to be the spread of COVID-19, then we need to understand that. And we also need to understand if they're not. So these requests for information were sent out really in an attempt to say, what does the data show? What does the contact tracing show about where people were not only getting perhaps potentially COVID-19, but also where it was being spread? And we think it's a very fair question. And I think as the leaders of the restaurant industry that represent all of you, I think it's really important that we have that answer. Now, once we get this information, we'll obviously dig through it. In the meantime, we'll continue to do everything that we can to move this industry forward. But what we don't want is not to be brave enough or strong enough to ask the questions which are critically important to all of us. They're important to consumers to rebuild trust. They're important to all of you because we built the Restaurant Promise certification program together. And if there are things that are occurring that we need to be aware of, it's about continuous improvement, and the relationship that we have with Dallas College allows us to continue to improve that program, and we would want to do that. And of course, it really matters to all of us as a sector, and it matters to our elected officials. You know that we've partnered very closely with Governor Abbott and his team, and he's made it very clear that he uses data to make decisions. So let's just ensure that all the data that's being reported at the local level is the very best data, and the data represents and helps tell the story of the actions that then are taken by Governor Abbott. I ask you all to stay tuned to hopefully have a great weekend. Congress is still potentially going to sneak something out. Had a lot of calls this week related to that. We've really put our effort onto the PPP. Many of you have reached out to me to say, Emily, how likely is this? I can't even project at this point. You know, every day I've thought it's almost over the line is a day that it didn't happen. And so I think all we can do is continue to tell the story. And I think what occurred in Nashville, and there's a link below for you at least to see one example of some coverage of it. I think it really is about, we've been incredibly hard hit as an industry. We've risen up, we've showed unbelievable character and determination. And now we just need to make sure that the playing field is very fair and that we get the resources and support that we need. Again, 75% yesterday, the menus and condiments going away, those are all big wins. They may not feel like big wins, but they really are big wins. And on Monday, you'll be able to just get a little bit more expanded. And so I want to, again, just thank Governor Abbott and his team, because that's what the partnership does, and so many of our elected officials that have stepped up to support us. So more to come as the week, I guess next week unfolds. In the meantime, hope you have a lot of customers. I hope you have a great and a safe weekend. And as always, if you need anything, please don't be afraid to reach out. Thanks so much, and take good care of yourselves and each other. Bye.